Welcome to this next conversation in our C-Suite conversation series. To get us through this coronavirus, we're getting some experts from their fields to come and chat to us about how we can work from home better, all the little top tips that we can do. And I'm delighted to have a good friend of mine, Christian Young, who runs Spiked Media, which is a video production company and agency in London. And he's going to come and share some kind of tips on how to do video from home, how to kind of communicate during this time when we're not actually seeing people. So Christian, I imagine lots of your clients, you were out and about filming all over the country up until a few weeks ago. Now with all the social distancing and lockdown, all that kind of stuff, that's looking very, very different. Not just for you in terms of what you can actually get out and do, but also for your clients. So what are the tips that you've been giving your clients as to how they can keep communicating during this time?
Well, one of the first things is obviously the value of communication hasn't changed at all. It's just as important as it was before to be communicating with people. So before, where that would have taken a mixture of face-to-face, you would have done phone calls, you may have done some video chats, you may not have, you will have done meetings. A lot of that has to move to platforms which allow you to do it from home. There's obviously a huge amount of value in being able to see someone, as you know, from the value of a face-to-face meeting. So essentially, I think a lot of the face-to-face meetings have moved online to video chat, and lots of people have been relatively okay with it. We're seeing it in the media, we're seeing that. And for the moment, everybody's quite used to the quality that you would normally get out of it. But as with everything, social media is probably a good example of how it's gone in the past. As people start to get savvy to it, people get better at it, and the quality goes up, and you represent your brand through the quality and the way that you chat too. So just doing little things that make sure that when you're doing video chats and communication, they look as good as possible. That's something that's quite effective. We've also had a lot of conversations with people whose CEOs and top level people that want to be doing the chats don't want to be on camera. It's actually a really common thing. And so we've had clients where we're working with them to come up with video content that allows them to communicate, but where they don't need to practice or do a piece to camera like this. In those, we've got some really creative ways, and we've actually been working with them remotely to shoot some things on their iPhone, give them a little shot list that we shot on an iPhone at this end, then they copy them and we talk it through with them. And so little bits like writing, doing other things like that. And then they send us the footage and we're still doing edits on them. So there's video chats in themselves. There's still video that you can make, but it's essentially coaching someone through shooting on their iPhone or doing little shots and combining that with either stock footage or archive footage, where we've worked with them for we built up all banks of stuff we've done before, so we can cut those things in with bits they're saying. So and then we have animation too. So some things, if everybody is doing a piece to camera, then in your market you might want to have an animated piece. One of the animated pieces we won awards on last year, it was the year before last, was where we actually just took archive photos from their archive, things that you can get online, and then we edited a great animated piece and that went out too. So there's lots of different ways you can do that communication, but trying to make it good in whichever way, and either working through coaching and self-shooting, whether it be just improving the video chats that you can do from home, little simple techniques to lift the level and just make you look good. Or using other elements. Yeah.
And what kind of tips would you give someone who, doing videos, things like that, might be quite self-conscious or might not have done a lot of it before? What kind of tips would you give someone as to how they can be as natural as possible in a very unnatural, will probably become a lot more natural kind of process as the days, weeks go past?
Yeah, being natural is a hard thing. I think I always remember the adage of, it was a joke about a coach trying to help make people more confident, and their course was called Get Confident, Stupid. And it's really hard. If you say to someone, be natural, the last thing that they want to be then is natural. So I think actually it's probably more helpful to describe what you need to do to be natural rather than telling you to be natural. So the first one is just be confident. You'll find that you come across best when you are naturally confident. So stop caring about making mistakes. You will naturally become less natural. You'll start thinking about yourselves. You'll come into yourself if you start worrying about your own performance. You really just need to drop self-consciousness and just go, I'm going to be great. Even if you're not, just be confident and go for it. Don't come back and correct yourself, and then you come across much more natural through just confidence. You connect with someone that way rather than going back over yourself. And so I think that's a big thing. And dive in and go for it. Everybody knows that the environment's the same at the moment. Everyone's like this, so don't worry about how you compare. I think there's a lot of, when anything first comes, there's a lot of forgiveness about how you come across, because everyone's coming across in the same way, working out the same things. So to be natural, just dive in and do it like everyone else. Talk humanly, like you would in a meeting. You're not trying to, well, I mean, if you're trying to record a video that's going out via emails and is that communications piece to people, that's more like a piece to camera that you would do with a crew. But certainly if you're doing it in a meeting or something that's a more casual context with people, just talk like you would in a regular meeting. Just basically try and be normal. Yeah, and then there's lots of things that you can do to just try and help make things look good, which will also give you a bit more confidence. If you think that you're inherently, if you feel like you're looking good on camera and the environment feels good, then you tend to be a bit more natural and feel more comfortable, because you're like, I'm not worrying. A lack of natural, you don't come across naturally when you feel self-conscious or you're worrying about how you look or you're checking yourself. So just making sure, just starting before you jump on a chat by making sure you're happy with your environment and you're just going to go for it. That's a good way.
Cool. So someone who, like myself, Christian, I've got a face for radio, and I'm doing a lot of client sessions via video and things at the moment. So I need to make the best of my environment to maximise, how I look and everything. What tips would you give me? Here I am. I'm in my study. What would you, straight off the bat, what would you say are the things that I could improve right now?
Well, there's a couple of easy things. First one is the up the nose shot is never the most nice one, but because of the angle that you've got your camera inherently on your laptop screen, you are looking up your nose a little. So you've got good nose hygiene. You clearly clip and make sure there's no unsightly ones. But really easy thing to do, which I've actually done here, is if you're going to do the call, you can raise the laptop.
Okay.
So a general rule of thumb is that the camera should be roughly the same height as you. And then
do that now.
Yeah. Like you can dump it on a pile of books or something like that, but you'll find that you get a much more natural angle to people if you're looking on the level, and then just tilt the screen so it's flat, which isn't normally how you'd have it, but you'll find
a little bit higher. Yeah, I think I need to do a bit of work on that in the coming days.
But on the level is good.
Okay.
Another thing that you can also do, so I'm just talking about eye line and generally how you do first, is you can see I'm looking down a little, but certainly something you want to do is try and make sure the window of the person you're talking to on your screen is as close to the camera as possible. Ideally centralized. Because what it will do is it will affect your eye line. So like there, I have the screen centered. So now I've just moved you. So you're right centered under my camera. I'm going to inherently just keep looking directly in the right direction because of it. Okay. So it will also make you look a little bit more attentive. If you're on an iPad, that's a little bit harder because you can't move it around because the camera's at the screen. But certainly if you're on a laptop, you can move the screen around so that the window is directly under the camera, and it will make it look like you're looking more directly at someone. Brilliant. So that's a little thing. Thinking about the background, you can open up a FaceTime or another chat or anything like that before you jump on a call, to have a look around and just look at the backgrounds and what the backgrounds say. Most people will be in home offices like yourself. You've got the books there that looks very good. I can see the files at the top of the cabinet, but your books a little bit lower look a little bit nicer. So potentially if you raise up the camera and you make it a bit flatter, you're going to see a bit more of the door and you're going to see the books, and that will look quite nice. You might, if the door's looking a little white, you might want to consider dressing it, hanging a nice little coat or something on the back of the door, avoiding plain areas. I mean, I do look like I've got a bit of a plunk coming outside of me there, but that could easily be moved around a bit. So just thinking about those things will really help. So just making sure the background is a nice one that's representative of what you want to do. Where I am here, this is the bay window in my living room. I've actually got a desk right in the middle of the living room for doing the video call. So don't be afraid to rearrange things to make sure your background looks good if you want to. It's nobody's going to see anything the other side of the camera or what you're doing. So rearranging to make your background look good, or I mean, I threw this up in 5 minutes, but doing something like that can make it can just lift it a little. So don't, like, for example, if your kitchen's the nicest room in the house, do it in the kitchen. If you've got 5 minutes in there and the kids aren't running around. But yeah, thinking about the background and going, how can I arrange it, rearrange things to just make it look good on camera? That's something to do. There's one more.
Go on.
The other
there's enough feedback for one day, but yeah, go on.
No, I'll give you one more. The other one is just to think a little bit about lighting. Generally, what I've done here is what you shouldn't do. Shooting into windows is generally an awful idea because the camera will expose for windows. It becomes really bright and you look dark. The only way to fix that is to have a light in front of you. So if you've got a nice powerful lamp at home, just chuck it there. Or indeed, if you're using windows as your primary source of light, which will make you look good, and it's what most people will be doing, try and make the window about somewhere between straight and 45 degrees. 45 degrees will make you look the most soft and beautiful. Straight on can make you look a little harsh. But just thinking a little bit about the window, and also realize time of day will affect it. So if you're trying to do a larger piece, so you're speaking out to everyone, understand that the great shot with your window will look different in the morning to the afternoon as the sun moves through the sky. So if you're trying to talk to people and you really want to look good, just pick the flattering time of day.
Brilliant. And last question, what equipment should people have? Is there any sort of do's, don'ts? I mean, I know this is uncertain times and there'll probably be demands on things. You're an expert in what you do. You've got a whole load of kit in your office and really good production values. But for most people at home, what are the kind of the top things to do to get the best from the available kit they've got around?
Yeah, so we should probably draw a line down the middle for this. So we've got people where we're doing video chat like we are here on Zoom. This is obviously straight on my laptop. It's on your iPad. That inherently you are using the camera and the stuff attached to your laptop. So just make sure that you're nice and near the microphone, and the lighting, the environment will make the biggest difference because it will all do it for you. There's very little you can change on that. If you're doing something which you're recording to send out for other people, then I would move to phones. Like, I mean, I use an iPhone 11, so the more up to date your camera, inherently, the better it will be, whatever it is. I mean, I will admit I'm a professional, so I have interest in what I say here. But certainly, if you're recording things yourself, there is a huge amount of value in getting some professionals to coach you, making the best of it. So your smartphone probably would be good, but getting a good stand, getting a microphone that will plug in, because that makes a huge difference to audio, and audio really does do a lot. Most of that stuff we can order off Amazon. So a good plug-in microphone to your phone could be 15, 30, could be 50 quid. Probably the most important thing is the delivery time more than anything else. And then the settings on the phone. So getting someone to talk you through the best possible settings, and then if you can, get it professionally post-produced to send it out, because then they do the things you can't. So colouring up the image so it looks really nice, cropping it if it's been slightly misaligned, doing some audio sweetening, and then sticking your branding on, and that looks really good. But I would genuinely say iPhone 10, 11, or even the Android ones, the more up-to-date smartphones all look pretty good. So I'd use what you've got. You will get more value from a microphone, and thinking about a light. Again, you can get some cheap lights if you've really got nothing at home and the space does need lighting, or using a window effectively. They're the best things to do. But if you really want to look good, get someone professional to just talk you through doing the setup at home, recording it, and get them to clean it up for you after each session. It's probably not going to cost a huge amount, and it will make a big difference. But obviously for internal stuff, just do the things that we've said and do it on the video chat. That's fine.
Brilliant. Christian, thank you so much for your time. I know you've got to rush off and do loads of client things. So thank you for taking the time, and we will speak again soon.
No problem. Great to meet you, everybody.